Here's your intro. The Phillies won against the Mets and have since been 500. How are we doing at the All-Star break? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Philly Sports Now, a Philly fan podcast. My name is Zach. With me is Andrew. We're back to talk about things Philly sports. Now that the All-Star break is finally here, the thing that I feel like we've been alluring to for basically since it feels like since pitchers and catchers. It's like, what are we going to do at the All-Star break? Let's get to the All-Star break and then evaluate where the Phillies are. Well, I'll tell you where the Phillies are. The Phillies are sitting, I would say, uncomfortably atop the NL East, right? They are, I believe, a half game or one whole game. Half game or one game
half
above
game.
the
Half
Mets.
game. You're right.
Half game. I know my thing. So half game above the Mets and, good. Hey, top of the leaderboard, top of the leaderboard. Scoreboard's a thing, but could be better. I believe I saw top 4 out of the entire MLB right now, or at least the NL, one or the other. Phillies are in a good spot. It's not the best spot, but they're in a good spot. And that's definitely a theme for today. Andrew and I have talked a lot off the podcast about, this Phillies team, which essentially we came off of as debating about the All-Star break and what All-Stars do you have on this team, especially after the season they've had. And it's kind of funny because the Phillies are a great team. Again, top 5 in the MLB, yet major disrespect going into this team. However, I don't think there's anyone disrespecting the Phillies more than the Philadelphia fans themselves. It's a tale as old as time. It just is how it is. But I'm hoping this fires them up. We're going to go over some trade speculation or rumors, wishes and wants. We always talk about it. We'll do it again. There's a New York Mets series podcast in, I'll say the vault right now. It's going to come out. It's going to be after this. So we're not going to talk too much about the Mets, but I've had a lot of technical issues. I've overheated my desktop. I'm actually using my laptop right now. It's been a ride these past few weeks. So thank you everyone for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe for future episodes. We'll be back to our regular podcasting, especially with a nice half a season of the Phillies left, as well as only 50 days until the NFL starts. So again, I believe if I counted right, the Phillies were 10-10 in their past 20 games. Going into the All-Star break, a solid 500. Their record sits at 55-41. It's a good record. The Dodgers, I believe, are at 58 wins. So 3 wins over the Phillies. It's crazy to me. It's not so much it's the classic NL issue. It's not that the Phillies are bad, guys. It's that the entire league, it's just there's some really good teams there. And so that's what you're competing with. And I'll say, listening to Gargano, the one thing he brings up is this a World Series team? I got to tell you, I think I have the most confidence in this team over definitely last year, if not the year before too. I don't want to go too far. I don't think the year before, but I definitely feel better right now than I did this time last year. So, Andrew, coming off of 500 wins, coming off of a 500 record in the past 20 games, what are we thinking? What are your thoughts? Where are you sitting right now? It's the All-Star break.
Let me start with it. I know you were half joking but half serious about, we've been waiting for the All-Star break since pitchers and catchers. But, that's what we've been saying. Even through the slow start, what we kept saying. Listen, baseball is a long season. You have to judge it. That's always been my thing, is you judge it in certain periods of time throughout the season. The All-Star break's one of that. And you mentioned it. You go into the All-Star break, you're half game up in first. That means you're in first, right? Is it the 5-game lead we all would love to have? No, but the winning the division isn't meant to be a 5-game lead, right? The winning the division is meant to go down to the end of September when it's all said and done and have a real fight for a division leader. And that's the way this division is going to be. The Phillies and Mets are both very talented teams. And that's why you've seen, especially this last week, these two teams kind of go back and forth with each other on who's been leading the division. The Mets took over the division Saturday before they lost on Sunday, and the Phillies won on Sunday to go into the break with the lead. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way a division fight's supposed to be, right? So that's that point of it right there. I think the problem fans have with what's happening right now is all of this could have been avoided, right? When we went into the offseason, we were talking about what we wanted to see, right? Everything we talked about, right? We wanted a left fielder. We wanted one or two bullpen guys, right? You knew you had Jeff Hoffman as a free agent. You knew you had Carlos Estevez as a free agent, right? So I think that is where the fans are struggling to kind of buy into that next level for this team is everything could have been fixed and we wanted it to be fixed because the entire fan base saw the issues and holes on this team. Now, that's where I got into part two, where they built a team well enough to win a division, but this team isn't well enough to win a World Series with the way it's constructed right now. I think we'd all agree with that. And that's where, after the All-Star break, my second point on the season to look for is the trade deadline, because that's where you fix those holes. And you mentioned it. We'll get into what trades we want to see, who we might not want to get rid of, and everything on that down that line. But that's part two of right where you got to see this team. And on August 1st, after the trade deadline, we'll see where this team lies. Obviously, we've dealt with some obstacles. Aaron Nola's been out since May. You didn't expect Jose Alvarado to be suspended not only for 80 games, but when he's even back, he's still ineligible for the postseason. And then obviously, you missed Bryce Harper for a few weeks as well, which you didn't expect to happen as well. So even with all that being said, those three guys missing a lot of time, we've said it, you're still in first place. So it's not like this team hasn't faced adversity, which is a big plus that you're still able to go into the break in first place. But I think we'd all agree, especially losing Alvarado for the postseason, you won't trust this bullpen, right? In a meaningful playoff series, you might be able to survive the first series. Let's say you get matched up with the Dodgers in the National League Championship Series. I don't think anybody's going to trust the back end of this bullpen the way it's constructed right now to go win a 7-game series. So I think that's where we turn to, and we'll find out here in a few weeks at the trade deadline whether this team is good enough to win a World Series. And I think right now you fall short of it because, again, you can't trust Jordan Romano, who's got a 7.44 ERA. You can't trust Matt Strahm, who I like in the seventh inning, but I mean we've seen him the last few days in the ninth inning. And
you can't put him in the ninth inning.
Sunday.
It drives me. It drives me
not a ninth inning
nuts.
So again, it's impressive to me how well, and this is credit to Rob Thompson, even though I might not agree with everything he's done. It's impressive to me, even with all this stuff going on, he's still been able to overcome it and get this team in first place. And I mean, specifically the Max Kepler stuff. The guy's hitting 207 and complaining about his playing time. If you want more playing time, start hitting the ball. It's simple as that. So, with all that being said, like you just said, we're a first place team. You want to be in first place at the break. Obviously, it doesn't mean you won the division, but it's a step in the right way. Now you bring in the reinforcements and you close out the season with a division win.
I just think it's a wild opinion that a lot of Phillies, because I do think it is a targeted narrative. It is the Phillies fan base who can't get over this. We're not good enough, and I do think it comes down to most Phillies fans know we're going to make it to the playoffs. Most Phillies fans know we're going to go to probably the NLCS. Hopefully, I guess maybe is better saying that. But and they're just thinking playoff picture. And I guess I just have a little more faith in our offense come October. I think we've seen enough to know they're gonna heat up in the postseason. I am more concerned about the bullpen, as you pointed out. But I'm going to pause because not editing pause. I'm going to pause because I do kind of want to say this. I did want to talk about a couple of things from the last 20 games real quick, and then we'll talk possible trade things that are going to happen in the next week or so. So to back it up, let's regroup, talk about the games. I did want to focus on some good and bad, and I think it's really easy to look at the good and the bad in the past 20 games. And when you look at the schedule, I think the good is actually a little surprising when people are so fresh on what's happened, right? We just lost the series in San Diego. However, Phillies took 4 of 6 against San Diego in the past 20 games. That's a big win, in my opinion. That's a big win. Or 3 of 6, excuse me. I might have missed
3
of 6. That's a win because San Diego is an extremely good team. They are probably your top contenders as a National League problem come postseason. So if you want to focus so much on the postseason, to talk about the Phillies going 500 against them, I'm happy with that. You take 2 at home and you take 1 away. Look, if you're going to tell me, I'll take that any day of the week against San Diego currently. Now, again, postseason talk's different, but to have that happen now, it's a good thing for things to come, in my opinion. I think that's a good thing. The counterpoint to this good, I will say, well, actually, I'll throw another good in there, which is winning the series against Atlanta, which I believe you mentioned, but it's always important to get those wins against your division rivalry, against your division. It stacks the wins in the division column come the end of the season. It's adversity. Like it's another good thing. It was two solid wins. Take that. Also, Taiwan Walker back. Now, the bad, definitely the most concerning in my opinion. Andrew, I don't know if you have a different most concerning in the past 20 games, was definitely the sweep in Houston. Getting completely demolished, losing all three games in Houston in an away situation. It's a bad look. It doesn't wreck the season, which is, I think, important when we talk about these negative situations. But it is a bad. That is a. It is. And just talking about adversity, that is a different side of that. It's like, how did you handle this situation in an away stadium against the top AL team right now? Maybe second. I don't know how the Yankees are up there with them.
Tigers number one.
Oh, I forget that. I always forget the Tigers are AL. I keep thinking because of the NFC in football for sure. I keep thinking Detroit is in the National League. But I know Houston top three AL. I'll say that, right? So to go and lose all three in Houston in their stadium, high pressure situation against a good team, that's a bad look. So you have a good look. You took 500 against. I don't whatever. I like saying 500. It's fun. But you took half the games against San Diego. I think that was important, and I think that was good. To lose all three in Houston was really rough, really bad. And I think that would be my two highlights in the past 20 games. Andrew, your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this team continues to struggle on the road. They will take care of business at home. The Phillies are 30-16 at home and 25-25 on the road. For whatever reason, it's always been a struggle. And I think to your point, yeah, you look at the Padres. You got three. You went 3-3 against them this year, and that's what you want when you're facing top tier talent. You want to find a way to split those games, and you beat up on the bad teams, and that's how you win the division. Because again, it's unrealistic to expect you to go 6-0 against the Padres, right? So to your point, it stinks to get swept. I think in that Houston series, I mean, you lose that series run total wise 5-1, right? You gave up 1 run, 2 runs, and 2 runs. So that says a lot about the offense. And right now, this offense is struggling bad. They can't hit with runners in scoring position. And it's not like they're not getting runners in scoring position. The problem is they're just hitting a bunch of singles, and they're not getting the power they need, and they're not slugging to a good percentage. And that's the problem is they keep getting a bunch of singles, which leads to runners on base and having opportunities, and they're just failing to get the big hit. And that's kind of what the weird spot is. And we've talked about Bohm's improvement. We've talked about, especially this last month, JT Realmuto starting to hit the ball really well. He's hitting 320 over the last month. And that's why you're seeing all these good batting averages, which makes it hard to believe that, how is this team not scoring? And that's where you need to improve at the deadline, which, again, we'll get into. But going back to that Houston series, you got the best pitching staff in baseball, starting pitching. Let me rephrase that. The best starting rotation in baseball. And it's a shame, too, when you see your starting pitchers go out there and just go out there and deal and do what they're supposed to do. I mean, again, you look at it, 5 total runs in a 3-game series, and you couldn't find a way to win one of those games. That's just unbelievable. You get shut out in 2 of those games, and then you score 1 run in the final game. So that just comes down to not hitting the ball because even there, your bullpen came in and did their job, right? Again, you maximized the 2 runs given up. So that's the problem is this offense has hit a cold spot. And that's the thing we get with this team, right? When you get a bunch of these guys, and we've seen it in the playoffs, we've seen it in stretches in the regular season, is when this offense goes cold, they go cold. When they start hitting the ball, they hit the ball really well. And I think that's where, too, is it's most frustrating with this team is you're paying Schwarber a bunch of money, you're paying Turner a bunch of money, you're paying Harper a bunch of money, you're paying JT a bunch of money. to pick each other up, right? To have okay, if JT and
Right.
if JT and Harper go in a slump, Turner and Schwarber are there to pick them up, or vice versa, and that's where this team has not figured it out, and that was most. That's what most stood out to me in that Houston series because your point about playing a top tier team in the AL, you're facing top tier pitching at that point, and that's where they went cold. And similar, and that's where I take in this road series against San Diego as well. You hit San Diego, the starting pitching did their job. Bullpen gave up a few runs, but if you would have told me you gave up 4 runs, 5 runs, and 1 run, I'm leaning towards you taking two in that series. And again, the offense went cold. They went 2 runs, 4 runs, and 2 runs. So it's just not good situational hitting. And you saw it. I'm gonna go one before San Diego. You saw it in San Francisco. You gave up 3 runs. You lost a 3-1 run game. Then you lost 4-3 game. So this offense hit a cold stretch. I think the All-Star break comes at a good time. But yeah, the last 20 games, I'm going to lean towards the offense. Has been the most disappointing to me.
So I'll break it into two different sections. I'll say for when it comes to the Phillies offense, we've got our highs and lows. I'd say the based off of the numbers I've seen, the three best hitters right now, especially recently, you've got JT, who essentially got the Phillies their only win in San Diego. You've got Trey, who's just been a consistent hitting machine, and you've got Schwarber, who continues to prove that he should be signed. Uh, and I think the bottom three bats come to Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos, and Bryce Harper. And these are out of your stars. I'm not including Marsh or
Uh,
yeah, right. Like
but
these are the guys we should be depending on. Like so I think the three biggest disappointments of those guys, and you actually mentioned I think Casty in that situation. I think it comes down to Bohm, Casty, and Harper. And Harper was gone for half of this, like, right? You know what I mean? Like it's the numbers I'm looking at also include that involvement. So Harper is getting better. He's gotten his first home run since being back from his injury. I was shocked. I had like an internal bet with a buddy of mine. I was like, like a pride bet. I was like, I don't think Harper gets a home run before the All Star break. I think he's still warming up. He's like, nah, dude, for sure he's gonna get that home run, and he does. And Harper, I think he's warming back up. Like I think he is where he should be right now. We need him to do better, absolutely, 100%. But I think he's doing about as good as he is should be expected to do right now. So I guess that's my top concerns then really come down to Bohm, Casty, and then that left field rotation spot, right? So I don't want to get into offseason stuff because we have talked about, this will be the will JT stay here? Will Schwarber stay here? Don't want to talk about that. If anything, I just want to highlight how impressed I am that those two are the ones essentially lifting up the others right now. And I'm excited. I think Bohm really has had a roller coaster year. He gets these really hot times, like you just talked about. The Phillies get hot and cold stretches. Bohm specifically does that way too consistently, and it's not good. But I think for every time he gets cold, you can expect him to get hot again. I think that is a thing. So I do think he will pick himself back up. This becomes the conversation of who do you depend on come the postseason. So not talking about left field right now. We're gonna talk about that today still. Andrew, Bohm and Cassie and Harper, your thoughts on those three specific?
yeah, I thought we rushed Harper back unnecessary. I know he said his wrist got to the point he didn't feel like it could improve at all. But I mean, listen, if he's going to be dealing with this, you were still winning games. I mean, was Kemp perfect? Obviously, no. Otto Kemp was not perfect, but he was doing a good enough job for you to still finding ways to win games. So I would have liked to see them hold Harper out to after the All-Star break. So now he could have really elevated his play to get back, get timing down throughout this week during the All-Star break. Where instead he was, I mean, listen, most guys when they come back from an injury, they go down and do rehab assignments in the minor leagues. Harper, I get he's Bryce Harper, but he skips that. So it takes time for him to develop his timing back. And I think that's what you saw was his timing was not even close to being on point when he first got back. And Now it's a shame the All-Star break's happening because, to your point too, it looked like he was finally starting to turn that corner. He had the 4 extra base hits against San Francisco, including the home run. He had, I think, a hit in each of the San Diego games as well. Not anything crazy. I think he had a couple singles and one double. But like to your point, it looked like he was starting to finally get that timing down, figure things out, and now he's got to sit back down and go through this All-Star break, and we don't get another game until Friday. So again, I think that's another reason why I would have just kept him out. That way, this week he could have got this timing down, and then really just had a good stretch, giving him that stretch of regular baseball, where now he has to sit and
Well,
he'll
if I
stay
know
with you.
anything about Harper, I don't really think he's sitting on the couch during his All Star break.
No, he's not, and that's my point though. Is like you could have had this week to build
Yeah.
that timing again and kind of take off when it started back up. So it's just a shame to see that. Castellanos, I think, got put in a tough spot, and I've said this before. He's not a good 4-5 hitter, and that's where with Harper being out, he got kind of pushed into that spot. You really saw him elevate his game to start the year when he was in that sixth spot, and when you saw Harper go down, these guys had to move up, and again, these guys are just not slugging at a good spot. And to Alec Boehm's point, I mean, the guy's hitting 281, and he's only got 8 home runs. To me, he should be at double digits at the All-Star break, and he's got a slugging percentage of 395. I'd like to see that at least get up to the 450 range if he's going to be hitting the number 4 spot in your lineup. So, again, he's figured it out average-wise, but again, it's a lot of singles where, again, if he's going to be hitting in the 4 spot and coming up with guys on base, he's got to be able to, drive in guys and get extra base hits. And that's where I have an issue a little bit with Rob's lineup where Schwarber's been hitting second, and I wish they'd go Turner, Harper, Bohm, Schwarber. I think, again, your best RBI guy should be there in that 4 spot because those guys in front, again, if they're going to be hitting singles, what better guy than Schwarber to go up there and drive them in? And you could even put either Cast in the 3 spot or Bowman in the 3 spot and the other one at the 5. So I think, again, and it's tough because you've been missing Harper, so you've had Schwarber hitting 2, and now Harper's back. So I'm curious what the lineup will look like on Friday against the Angels once this All-Star break is done. You have everybody back, and you're going to see a shakeup here in a few weeks. And
So speaking of a shakeup, and you just mentioned the lineup, I'm going to go with my biggest concern was Thompson putting Schwarber at number 1 yesterday, right? Like that just felt like 4 steps backwards to me.
I wouldn't say backwards. I would just say it was a forced panic, not panic, but forced like.
But that's what I mean. Like it to me that looked like a panic move from Rob that I did not like. We got the win, great, but like also I hate seeing like if he sees that win, he's like, oh well, now I'm going to start Schwarber on Friday because Schwarber led off on Sunday and we got the win. Like I hate it.
And I agree with you. By no means I want Schwarber leading off, but in the end, they obviously keep winning with him there. So if that's what they're going to do, it's something that we're going to have to live with. Something that we've been used to seeing for the last 2 years that got them to last 3 years, something that got them to the World Series and LCS and a division title. So again, if that's what he does, it's what he does. Again, it's not my favorite. Schwarber would be my 3rd or 4th leadoff hitter on this team. Trey Turner leads the National League in hits, is second in the entirety of the MLB. So the leadoff spot was not the issue. The issue's been lying in the 5-7 range. To your point, again, going back to Castellanos and Bohm, those are the 2 guys I want to see pick it up in the second half. And I think Castellanos overall had a solid first half, but 12 home runs, 51 RBIs. But I think there's still production to be there. And yeah, so to your point, I do not want Schwarber leading off, but they might be going down that road. We'll see. Maybe it's some switch that for some reason they but going back to it, they might have been winning the last few years with it, right? But it's not like we're 2 games over 500 at the All-Star break. We're 14 games over 500. So Turner in the leadoff spot has worked just fine.
So let's kind of get into the tease of the day, which is we're at the All-Star break. How are we doing? We've obviously talked about that. Who do we expect to get at the trade deadline? That is something that Andrew has talked about. He clearly really wants some help batting wise. Now, I think I might play a little bit of not devil's advocate because I don't not want help at the deadline. I would never say that. But I just think, and I believe you've said this before, and I think in the end you do agree with me on this statement. I just think the bullpen help is more important than adding to the offense. And I think because if history has shown us anything, it's that come fall, these bats will get aggressive and heat up. They might get a little stupid too, which is a problem for a different day, but they heat up. And I think at the end of the day, adding bullpen help is going to be your biggest win. Because I also personally, my personal like twist to this that I haven't heard anyone else say that I don't think we've really talked about is I don't again, would adding someone helpful be helpful? Of course. There's the word thrown out twice. But I don't think so. I don't. I was trying to find there's a front runner field depth guy who I didn't write it down earlier today, and I wish I did. But rumor has it the Yankees are going after him.
Did you know Suarez is the third baseman?
Right, yes, because then it would put Harper in the outfield. Yes, that's what I heard. So, like, that's great to add another bat, but like, I don't know his batting average. I don't know how well he is, but
he's a big power hitter what the team needs. He's got 31 home runs.
But I mean, does adding another person like that to this roster just completely change everything? I just don't think.
Yes.
I disagree entirely. I don't.
No, because
there is 9 men that go up to bat. There is 9 of them. And you're going to tell me if you replace one of them, now you're suddenly perfect? I would much rather focus on the reliever help because at least you have 8 dependable men and a rotating spot. Like, I don't.
Well, let's be real.
I don't know.
You need one of each. Let's be real. You need one of each. If you want to be a real World Series contender, you need one of each. But the reason why I say it, again, you're not perfect. I don't use the word perfect, but you're a lot more improved because, again, I think some of these guys are batting out of position. So if you get, let's just say Suarez, and he becomes your 4 hitter, right? Because he's hit 31 home runs. You're taking Bohm out of that 4 spot. You're moving him down to 5. Cass is now hitting 6. And JT's hitting 7 and so on. So instead of these guys moving up and you're having Bohm at 3-4, Cass at 4-5, and JT at 5. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like similar when we talked about the Eagles when you added that. I thought some corner at that time some of our cornerbacks were playing out of position where you might have had a good 2, but he was playing at Slow's playing at the 1, and then you added those next guys and it bumped everybody down. And then they showed their true colors on how good they were. So it's the same situation where I think some of these guys are playing out of their spot where you add that guy down and now you're sliding everybody down a spot. And again, I just said it. I think this team, and you see with the batting average, they're getting hits like crazy. They're getting on base. You don't have that guy that's hitting these guys in and driving people in. And that's where Suarez comes in. Because now you're talking about, listen, everyone knows I hate to rip on a guy, but Max Kepler is the guy to rip on. He's hitting 210 at the break, barely over 300 on base percentage, and the guy's got 31 RBIs. So now you're taking Kepler out of the lineup. You're bringing in a guy with 30 home runs, 60 plus RBIs, and you're replacing Max Kepler with that guy.
But see, there's my other issue, right? We're trusting Dombrowski to go do what he's been trying to do for the past 2 years, and just do it right now, like as in correct this time. He did it with Hayes. He did it with Hayes, and Hayes was the flop. And now he did it with Kepler.
Well, Hayes, the only reason why Hayes flopped is because he had a rare kidney issue that cost him a season. He's hitting 300 right now with the Reds. If he didn't have a rare kidney issue, I think the trade would have been just fine.
Yeah, but if that was okay, so then why didn't they stick with Hayes?
Because the fan base hated him and he was a free agent, so they
that's
decided
my
to
point.
move on.
This is exactly my point, though. It's a vicious cycle that Dombrowski is in an absolute horrid situation that I don't think he'll be able to get out. I just don't even know. I don't think there's anything he's going to. I just don't see it
Your
happening. I
prize
think it's
trade.
very likely nothing happens at the deadline.
Your prize trade. Well, then you don't win a World Series. Your prize trade is. And listen, I'll say this now. When I love Suarez, yes, anybody would love Suarez, but I think it's the wrong move because I don't want to. If you want to move Harper to the outfield for an entire season, fine. But listen, Harper already got hit in the arm. He's already dealt with an arm issue. He already dealt with a wrist injury this year. Zero reason to make that guy go throw the ball from outfield to home.
I think you realistically,
that'd be
if that happens, I think you put Schwarber in the outfield and put him and Harper at DH. And I know Harper's a better fielder.
Do that.
I know Harper's the better fielder, but health wise, I think that is the correct decision.
But yeah, and I'd agree health wise, but you wouldn't sacrifice your defense that bad with Schwarber out and left.
Andrew, I agree, but also you're wrong.
Well, I agree. Health concerns, yeah, but I'm saying I don't think the team would. But
all right. So
your perfect move. Your perfect move is trading for an outfielder and reliever, and there's plenty of that out there in a package deal. I'm saying there's the A's. You could get Mason Miller and Brent Rooker. The Twins have Duran and Buxton have been rumored.
I was going to ask. So since you jump right into that. I know the Duran rumor is pretty hot right now. How do you feel about that as your addition?
I would love it. Duran is one of the best closers in the game. He's undervalued because he's on Minnesota, and they're struggling. They've been a 500 team for a few years, so I think they're kind of at a spot where they need to make a trade, get some prospects, and bring them in. So Duran would be a fantastic pickup, even if it's just Duran from Minnesota. Even obviously Buxton's a hot rumor too as well. But if you got Duran and then go get for a different left fielder, that's a great upgrade. Duran is a guy you can give the ball to in the ninth inning of a postseason game and have trusted.
All right. Well, I think we still have time, right? Trade deadline's not this week. It's just the All-Star break. So I think that's enough for that for now. But overall, I guess let's say, Andrew, what do you think the odds are? And we'll say you can say either literal betting odds or a percentage of the Phillies getting both a reliever and a new left fielder.
I think the odds are 100%. Is it the guys we want? That's a different question.
So you think it's happening regardless whether it's for good or better or worse?
Yes.
I
think 100% you'll see an Austin Hayes type trade, Carlos Estevez type trade, and the likes of that. Now, is it the high quality Suarez or a Brent Rooker or a Buxton? I don't know about that in the outfield, but I think they get a high end reliever. I think that's highly likely. A Duran I think that's the case. I think for sure you're going to get a high end reliever. The bat, we'll see, but I'd be shocked if they don't get a reliever.
I hate everything about it. I just don't trust the Browski right now. I'm scared of what's going to come. And
I'll end with this because we can save it for a debate next show. There's not one prospect I would not be willing to trade.
That's good. We didn't even talk about. There's a
lot of untouchables to other fans, but there's not one untouchable in my eyes.
Well, I guess last tease before we get going, Andrew, how happy were you with the Wood draft pick? Just emotionally happy. How are you?
A++. Fantastic pick. He fell to the Phillies. Great pick. Very emotionally happy. Very, very solid pick.
Awesome.
Fun fact to end on. First college player the Phillies drafted since 2019, Bryson Stott. Every other first-round pick since 2019 has been a high school kid.
Really? Oh, that's crazy. Well, I like it, though, because he's a guy that could – another tease, but he's a guy that could show up at any point right now is what I'm hearing.
Yes, which would be wild. If we're seeing that guy throw in October, that'd be wild.
All right. Let's wrap it up here. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Philly Sports Now, a Philly fan podcast. You can find us. Social media links will be in the description of your Spotify podcast or in the description below on YouTube. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Comment. Tell us how you feel at the All-Star break. Do you feel good? Is this a World Series team? We didn't even really talk about it, but not a lot. No All-Stars on this team, apparently. I think it's going to get them fired up. We'll talk about that next time. So make sure you subscribe to hear the next podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Philly Sports Now. And as always, go Phils. Good night.